Well. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Ben. Well, indeed.
And good afternoon, Adam.
Good afternoon.
How are you
Hello.
doing?
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you too. And how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Been a few days since we've done one of these, hasn't it, John?
One day.
We didn't do it yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Well, one missed day.
Yeah.
Because we were listening to something.
Yes, we were. We were listening to a
And then I got high on paint fumes.
You did. You started huffing them paint fumes, didn't you? And all of a sudden, that was it. Game over, man.
Boom. Out. Zonk.
Anyway, John.
Yes, Ben.
Well, you might as well say hello to the dear folks.
Hello, people. I'd like to thank you all for attending this episode 129. 129 of Chasing Dissent Live. From me, the man formerly in the van and now hunkering in the bunker, and from Ben on the south coast of this once fair land we used to call England. And we're joined as always, well, not as always, but we are joined by the man in the corner, Adam.
Good afternoon.
Well, it kind of is as always, because let's face it, he does 4 shows out of 5 now in a week.
Yeah, okay.
He
No,
just...
that's not as always. As always would be if he did 5 shows out of 5.
Yeah, but
I
he
don't,
does.
I don't
You
work
should
as
know
hard
that.
as you.
Allegedly being an OCD autistic mentalist, you should know that. I'll do it for you.
That's true.
Right, carry on.
So, I actually, before we get into our list and before we get into our news stories, I want to bring to your attention what's going on over in Wisconsin, Waukesha, Wisconsin. Waukesha, I don't know how to pronounce it, but as people who have watched this channel will be aware, John actually did some videos at the time. There was a mass shooting on a parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
4th of July parade.
4th of July parade. The suspect's name in custody, facing 77 charges, including 6 counts of first-degree murder, first-degree intentional homicide, has pled not guilty, by the way.
On the grounds of?
Well, he's being a bit of an idiot. I will say that. He's being a bit of an idiot. So I watched a bit of his hearing from yesterday, in which he was sacking his attorneys.
Oh, where does this sound familiar?
So you got him on screen there, haven't you, Adam? So
Yeah.
he was sacking his attorneys because he wants to represent himself as a sovereign citizen. He's also told the judge that he does not understand the charges. He turned around to her and said, "That's a lot of numbers." And she got a bit pissed off in the end and started telling him to not play games.
Yeah, see, this is ridiculous because, I mean, if your liberty is at risk, then I think it's vitally important that you consider some kind of legal representation, because
Absolutely.
unless you're a lawyer and you know the law inside out, you're going to falter at some point and you're going to look stupid. And you may even, like someone else that happened to fairly recently, end up in jail.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Get legal representation.
I would like to read a quote for you from the judge. Because of his shenanigans, she had to make this finding. She said, "I cannot make a finding at this point that you have an understanding of what you're charged with in the nature of these proceedings."
Jesus Christ.
The judge snapped at him to stop playing games as he laughed.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is fully evil. He's an
He's
arsehole.
totally aware of what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely.
He's totally aware. He's just trying to play the system at its own game, which is fine if you're an arsehole and you've lubed up and you've sufficiently removed enough teeth to be accepted in prison.
So once again, he's making these kinds of statements, right? The accused killer also insisted that he was an alleged defendant in the case, eliciting an irritable correction from Dorrough, the judge. He also questioned why the state of Wisconsin was the plaintiff against him, while refusing to answer several other questions. And so, yeah, he has sacked his attorneys, and he would like to represent himself. He's going to get the max sentence, isn't he, John?
He's going to get a court-appointed attorney, whether he likes it or not. And
well,
he's either going to end up in a supermax or a secure mental health institution.
Well, you know,
either way, it's not going to end well for him.
No,
He's not getting his liberty, that's for sure.
well, no, like he's up for 77 charges.
That's a lot of charges.
He's not coming back out.
He's not coming back out. He's just gonna he's trying to make himself infamous, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as not a serial killer and mass shooter,
Are you sure?
Yeah, I have no idea what goes through these people's heads. I have no idea.
I don't know either. But he's pled
What
not.
are they thinking when they set this up? I mean, they're thinking, well, I'll do this and I'll kill, like, you know, what, 6 people or whatever, and he was maybe hoping for more, but, you know, what is he thinking? What's his exit plan for this? Where's his next career move? You know, I just don't understand it. This isn't the movie.
Prison janitor, John.
Yeah, well, or trustee in the library, perhaps.
Well, I think he
that
thought
that would be my best shot. You know, I'd go for trustee in the library.
Look, I think he thought he was getting away with it, right? I think he thought he was getting away with it.
I don't know why he thought that.
Because most of them do.
Are you on 5G today?
Yes.
Because the picture's looking really soft.
It's looking
on both Facebook and Twitch.
Oh well, it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's going out at a lovely frame rate. 0 frames dropped. The show.
Yeah,
looks
I mean
good.
It's looking fine on Ring Central, but I'm just saying it's looking a bit soft.
Yeah, but John, you always look a bit soft.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever
said. Okay, now with Waukesha or Waukesha, Marco Polo says Waukesha.
Waukesha.
With that out of the way,
I thought we were talking about somewhere in Rwanda initially, but no, okay, I'm up to speed now.
With that out of the way, John, do we have a list?
Yes, Ben. Of course we've got a list.
Shall we begin?
Run VT.
Oh, I haven't done that in a while. Let me run the VT.
Yeah, run VT.
Running
Let's
VT.
Give them what they're paying for.
So, what have we got on the list today then, John?
Well, we'll talk about the big one, all the gas.
Yes.
All the gas today is about the gas, isn't it?
Yes.
And what happened yesterday?
So what you mean the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines being intentionally attacked?
Well, I don't think there's any dispute at all that this was a deliberate act. So that's one thing everyone can agree on. It was a deliberate act. This wasn't an accident. Pipelines don't accidentally blow themselves up.
No.
Not 2 at the same time and in 2 separate places or whatever.
No.
So I think we can definitely state it was a deliberate action.
Yeah, so Russia's Nord Stream pipelines, which pipe natural gases to Germany, they have been
sabotaged. Sabotaged, yeah.
We have
Beastie Boys. Sabotage.
So
not played for copyright reasons.
No. But we have reports that explosions were heard via underwater listening stations at the time, and both of them, Nord Stream 1 and 2, have gone up, haven't they, John?
Yeah. So the Western take on this is that the bad man in the Kremlin did it. Now, first of all, I have to question that thinking. They've just spent how much did they spend building these pipelines?
$20 billion, John.
Right. So we spent $20 billion, not rubles, $20 billion building these pipelines. We can turn them off and on when we like if we're Russian, right? Yep, we have the control.
Yep.
But we thought we'd blow them up. That just doesn't compute, and it may be that my tiny brain can't work out why it wasn't the USA and the UK that did this, but I can't see any upside for Russia and nothing but upsides for the West.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you, especially with new pipelines going online just yesterday. Can you bring us that tweet up from the Polish MEP, please, Adam?
Yeah, I'll find that one.
And this new pipeline goes from where to where?
You tell us, John.
Well, you tell me. I don't know.
I don't have it on screen right now, John.
Well, why'd you bring it up then if you don't know anything about it?
Well, I did. It's just skipped my mind at the moment. I did all this research before as well, and we'll talk about Biden in a minute. Don't you worry about that.
Radek Sikorski, MEP, member of the European Parliament, freeloader, says thank you USA for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline because where's his pipeline come from?
Yeah, where's the pipeline that he just opened?
Where's his pipeline come from, Adam? Come on. Feed me, Billy. Feed me.
Okay, we need to keep chatting. Right.
Okay. But as you can see, we've really stuffed. So the Baltic pipeline has been inaugurated, and that was when? Yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
That was.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Nord Stream got blown up. That's
it's a lot nicer colour, isn't it?
It's just a coincidence.
It's just
it's amazing. Did you see how big the other pipeline was as well? It was massive. This one's only like small and it's yellow.
Well, yeah.
Is that the real pipeline or is that just
that's the real pipeline.
There we go.
That's never going to feed all of Germany. That's a fake pipeline. That's just there for show, surely.
Well, you never know, John, right? But the thing is, it all seems mighty convenient, doesn't it? At the end of the day, it all seems... The timing is very, very interesting. And should we talk about Mr. Biden for a minute, shall we? Mr. Biden made a bit of a statement regarding this, didn't he? In February.
He did, some months ago, he did say that Nord Stream 2 would never happen.
Yeah, and
he would make sure it wouldn't.
He also said that if the Russians invaded Ukraine, then they would make sure that the Nord Stream pipelines were not producing gas or sending gas to Europe. And when asked how, he just said, "We can do it."
Well,
we can do it.
And I'll be honest, I think they've done it. I can't see any reason why anyone else would think anything else.
Well, this is it. And now I'm not openly going to 100% say that the United States has done this, because I don't have any evidence to that effect. But I would say that it seems slightly more plausible than our Western rhetoric right now of Russia blew it up themselves.
Don't forget who supplied the drones to the people that may have done this.
So yeah,
they were UK built.
Underwater drones have been provided to the Ukraine by the UK. What else is there? Zelensky now calling it an act of terrorism, and as is Putin.
This is more than an act of terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
This is an act of war.
Yeah.
Because this is a foreign power making a deliberate act to interfere with another country's means of production.
Mm-hmm.
When they're not involved in an active shooting war, because this wasn't Ukraine.
No, it doesn't. In my mind, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And I mean, even Militant Mushroom in the chat, too much of a coinky dink, Ben. Yeah. He says
this is an act of war by the US and or Britain, and if that's the case, and we get pulled into an active shooting war because of this, then all our governments are off their tiny little minds.
Yeah, well, they're off their tiny little minds anyway, because they've been chomping at the bit to drag us into this war.
Yeah, they have.
Well, they make these statements over and over again. They say, we support Ukraine, and that's fine. Go ahead and support Ukraine. Give your support. Stop giving them weapons, and stop saying. Yeah. But the rhetoric is, we are at war in Europe. There's a war in Europe,
And your favourite right-wing female Prime Minister of Italy has jumped into the narrative straight away.
My favourite right-wing female Prime Minister of Italy.
We've only got one female favourite Prime Minister of Italy who's just been elected. I mean, she's just jumped straight into the narrative.
Yeah, she's put out a tweet, hasn't she, saying we fully support you, Zelensky.
Yeah, we fully support you, Zelensky.
You know, we've got someone in the chat, Obin1, who says, "Get your firewood out and ready for this winter."
Well, there's ways and means of getting gas without buying it from Russia, and let's face it, we never bought that much from Russia anyway. 3% of our gas needs came from Russia.
So we've got a tweet
can I just
here.
bring this up?
You
Ben?
can.
Yeah. This is about Bronholm, the island just here,
Right.
which is just off Denmark.
Okay.
This is where the Nord Stream pipeline runs, this red line here, and the Americans were doing experiments in the field of underwater drones, which they put on exercises, Boltops 22, just in the area of the island of Bronholm. Now, if you suggest this on Twitter, that the Americans are the ones that are doing this, then you get jumped on by NAFO, which are the North American Fellas Organization.
It's like NATO that can't spell.
Well, that's what it's a play on NATO. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of idiots. That's basically what it is.
Well,
it's a pile-on bunch of idiots.
Well, exactly.
They're there for a reason, though. And the reason is to disrupt the communication, to stop people from talking about this, because there is something going on here that they don't want people to know about.
I'm sure we'll get into...
But it's too late. Anyone with half a brain knows that the only people that would do this is Team America World Police.
Yeah. And the ramifications of this, what's going to happen as a result of this?
Well, I don't know. According to Mr. Trump, it could be World War III. Well, as I said, this goes beyond an act of terrorism. This is an act of war.
I would say so.
It all depends what Russia does now, because they're poking the bear and they keep poking it, and it's like, for God's sake, give the bear a break, And you might say, "Oh, we'll give Ukraine a break." Yeah, let's stop fighting. And start talking to each other.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to stop fighting, you've got to stop Ukraine shelling its own bloody citizens for the last 8 years. You've got to do that as well.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to stop fighting, you've got to stop fighting. It's like, and America's still helping out Saudi, who are bombing Yemen. When are you going to stop fighting there? But that doesn't count, because they're running about in the sand. They don't count.
No, and this is the thing.
We're not interested in them. But proxy war in Europe. Let's go there. We can make loads of money.
Well, this is our media play, isn't it? Because they carefully direct what wars we're supposed to care about, what wars we're allowed to talk about, what countries we should support, what countries we shouldn't support.
You dare not speak of that land that was taken from another nation and formed this new nation that is now the great all-time provider of security products. Yes,
we won't speak of that land.
You dare not speak of that and the people that inhabit that land, that fabled land.
No,
that's somewhere in the Middle East.
No, so this is,
and it's untouchable.
Obviously a concerning situation. It's a situation that is developing. It is
it's an escalation.
Yeah, it's an escalation, but whilst we're pretty sure it wasn't Russia that did it, we're also pretty sure that, well, I'm pretty sure that I can't definitively say who did, but I've got a good idea, put it that way.
Well, put it this way, unless you give me incredibly compelling evidence.
Yeah.
I am saying America did this.
Okay.
There is a certain subsection on Twitter that are suggesting that Putin did it in his submarine. He went out in his little round red submarine.
Yeah, of course he did it. Of course, the Russians would go out and do that while the Americans are playing with underwater drones in that exact place.
And it's full of NATO ships, that area, as well.
Of course that is. And of course the Russians did it, yeah.
So going to the chat...
That's the compelling evidence. I've changed my mind completely. I've been compelled to change my mind. I'm now on the straight and narrow. Russia, bad man, Putin did it.
Well, no.
Bad man.
No, the narrative is asshole! The narrative here at Chasing Dissent is that government bad. Doesn't matter who. Government bad. They don't care about you. Zelensky doesn't care about his citizens. Putin doesn't care about his citizens. Liz Truss doesn't care about us. Joe Biden doesn't care about you over in the United States. So when we talk about Well, yeah, let's move on, but I just want to quickly go to the chat and to Natasha, who says the same opinion here. This will go down as a catalyst, and Putin is going to have to retaliate. And absolutely, I think that is the case here, because he is very clearly saying he thinks it's an act of terrorism against Russia.
Yeah. Well, it is.
And
So it's beyond that. It's an act of war.
Yeah. Now, before we do move on, if you are enjoying the stream, the show, and you are watching over on YouTube, please don't forget to put a like. If you're not subscribed already, please do. And if you would like to support us, you can do so by heading to patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed subscribestar.com/Chasing Dissent, or ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. And tonight at 9 p.m, what's going to happen, guys?
It's gonna be the after party. We're gonna have a blast. We're gonna get together and we're gonna have a gas.
That.
I thought I did that quite well.
I think you did. I think, for something completely off the top of your head there.
Yeah.
We need to
I'm
clip
quite
that.
We
need to clip it.
I've got it recorded.
Good. We'll get the voice coder on that, and we'll make it into a little song.
So after the Nord Stream incident, what else is going on in the world today?
Well, what's
then,
next,
John?
Adam? What are we talking about next? Well, we spoke about Trump, so he's already warned us about World War III, and I think that's a fair line to take, because as we've said a couple of times, we consider this an act of war.
Yeah.
Have we spoken about GB Energy?
No, not yet.
No, we have not. So there's always an opportunity to mock Keith, isn't there?
Of course.
Yes.
There he
In
is.
Keith we trust.
So Keith just he fucks with my mind. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do here, because he said he's going to be GB Energy now, and let's face it, was it Manchester or Liverpool or something that tried this and went bust massively?
Right.
Yeah, one of the Labour councils up there tried this. They tried to run the energy company. I think was it that Andy Burnham guy? No.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they tried to run an energy company and they went bust, owning something like 35 million. But anyway, so he's going to be GB Energy. He's going to be. How is he going to do it? He's going to do it through renewables, but we don't have any battery backup. We don't have any storage mechanisms. We don't have any nuclear power that's going to be able to back up the renewables while you're still building the renewables, and when the sun's not shining and it's not windy enough to provide power. So there's a whole infrastructure there that would need to be built to enable a renewable infrastructure to be viable. So basically, Keith, you're just talking shite.
There's nothing that can go wrong there, then, John.
There's nothing new, and he's just talking shite.
There's nothing new in Keith talking shite. Keith talks shite.
But
That's
then-
what Keith does.
But then Keith comes out and says Labour is the party of home ownership in the UK.
Huh?
Hold on. Is that not a conservative principle?
Yeah.
So he's come out and said Labour is the party of home ownership. We'll get more people owning their own homes. And I'm flashing back to the 80s when this is what Maggie Thatcher used to say. So, not building council houses, Natasha. No, people will own their own homes. So I don't know what Keith's plan is, because he appears to be. That's what I mean. He's fucking with my head. And then at the Labour Party conference, and I'll have to thank Adam for this one, because Angelo Sanchez is a breath of fresh air.
Why? What's happened there?
Can we play the clip?
I don't know. I don't know if we can get audio.
We won't get sound, so
Why, can you not share sound?
no, they won't let me.
Actually, you should be able to if you.
I don't think I can. I've tried it before and it won't let me.
Why
Right,
not?
I'm going to give you a quick tutorial, Adam. At the bottom
well-
where it says share screen, click that, right?
Yep.
And then go to the three dots where it's or advanced. Go to advanced,
Yes.
and then it says share computer sound only.
Okay. Music or computer sound only.
There you go.
Excellent. Okay.
Well, why are you wanting to just play sound? Because there's a video.
Yeah, because we can see his video. He
All
doesn't.
right, yeah,
he doesn't
okay,
need to
right.
share. Yep.
Right, go to the clip and play it.
There we
Right,
go.
let's
So
have a
from
look.
now on, Adam, do that before each show.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get the clip up.
Okay.
Right, talk amongst yourselves for a moment while I get
Oh,
this.
Jesus.
So how is everybody?
Oh,
How
good
is?
God.
I hope everybody is having a wonderful afternoon today. It's getting a bit brisk and chilly out there, isn't it, John?
It's fucking... I don't know. I'm just losing the will to live here.
Don't derail the show.
Let's have a look.
I'm not trying to derail the show.
He's derailing the show,
Too
everybody.
slow. We need
I'm
to
trying to find that clip.
We need to be fucking hell. Just go to your chat. It's in there. See, if you didn't have Twitter full screen all the time, it would be a lot easier.
Well, no, because I've got him off the screen.
In fact, forget it.
Sanchez.
Forget Angelo
There he
Sanchez.
is.
Just move on.
But there's still some stuff with the Labour Party conference we can talk about, right?
What do you want to talk about at the Labour Party conference?
Well, we've got one person. What's her name? She says that Eddie Izzard can't appear on an all-woman shortlist.
Yes, and I think that's fair.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep, I agree. I think that's fair. Eddie Izzard should not be appearing on an all-woman's shortlist, considering the fact that Eddie Izzard is a comedian.
So, I beg you to vote.
Right, okay. I've got him, finally.
We've got him. Okay, we've got him. Shall we play the clip?
Yes, we can.
Right, you're going full screen.
I am. Okay, here we go.
Right, you ready?
Going straight to YouTube.
So, I beg you to vote against Composite 13 on Ukraine.
Can you hear that?
What does supporting motion 13 on Ukraine mean? It means that the future Labour government will be sending money to a government, the Ukrainian government, that is repressing the left in their own country. A government that is criminalizing socialist parties and imprisoning Ukrainian activists. You will be supporting a government that has passed anti-workers laws, which completely strips Ukrainian workers of collective rights.
Hold on.
Oh, okay, keep going.
If you support this motion 13 on Ukraine, you are not supporting the Ukrainian people. You are supporting only the United States. You are supporting neoliberalism. You are supporting imperialism. The main aggressor
Sorry, excuse me, delegate. This is a debate. You've got to listen to all points of view, please.
So he has been suspended,
If
has
you
he?
support this motion
was thrown off the
13
stage
on
as well.
Ukraine,
You can
you
stop
will be
playing that now.
complicit of war crimes committed by the...
Yeah, he was thrown off the stage.
So he was thrown off the stage
Yeah,
and suspended.
He was thrown off the stage because he wouldn't stop.
Is it also?
He was given fair point that you've got to wind up now because you only get a certain amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So that fair enough. Thrown off the stage, fine. Okay, he just wouldn't shut up, but
Right.
he made valid points.
Well, yeah.
And as he left the stage, the boos were evident.
Well, the boos were evident there.
Throughout, the boos were evident throughout. Now,
And also there was a mixed reception from the crowd because there was applause as well.
there was
Yeah.
indeed. There has, yeah, but remember, because he's part of the radical left wing of the Labour Party. Absolutely, when he's talking about his support for socialist parties, and socialism doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough, but I still have to defend your right to be a socialist if that's what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just trying to give them a bit of a life lesson. That's all.
Yeah,
Ben-
but the other thing is, it's not appropriate to send money to a country that is repressing other parties.
Yeah.
And the socialist left are realising that. Jackie Walker here is a left-wing socialist, and she is now realising that, this is not right, what we're doing here.
Well,
We're throwing
no.
people off for having a different opinion.
Well,
Yeah, they're throwing people off for having a different opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
and
We
that's-
shouldn't be.
That's not a debate,
No, of course it's not.
and it's not freedom of speech.
Of course it's not. Now, freedom of speech is something that we can get onto in a minute. Jesus, we can get onto that.
If you want to go there, let's go there right now.
Before we go there, another member of the Labour Party at the conference has done a racism, haven't they, John?
Yes, yeah, let's get this one up.
Yeah, let's get this one up. So,
You've beat me there.
okay,
I
so
really-
you don't know this? So
I told you I haven't been on the channel. I've hardly been on the channel.
okay, so Rupert.
That was yesterday.
So Rupert Huck MP has apologised for superficially black remark
About Kwasi.
About Kwasi Kwarteng. So a female Labour MP here, Rupert Huck, has done a racism against our Kwasi Kwarteng.
And she's not white either, is she?
No, but John, she did a racism.
So is this like brown on black crime?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
I honestly couldn't tell you. And
The world's gone mad.
And has she actually? Well, if you were to listen to the progressive left and their views and ideals on what they believe racism to be, it's not racism, by the way. But if you were to believe their definition, has she done a racism? Because can she do a racism?
It's, you know what? I'm not even getting into it because it doesn't matter what your viewpoint is. If you're white, you can't have one.
Well, no, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, right? As far as I'm concerned, Rupert Huck MP, you did a racism, okay? And perhaps don't do a racism. That's all.
What do you think went wrong here? Do you think this was a failure of her vocabulary, or
no? What I think this is they're all part of the regressive left. It's not the progressive. There's nothing progressive about it. It's regressive, and they're all part of the regressive left. And they have brainwashed themselves into believing their own disgusting rhetoric, and they honestly believe that they can just spout this racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobic, often crap, as if it's some kind of reality, and people will listen. And people are getting pretty bloody sick of it. To be honest, people are sick of your shit. Stop doing racisms. Stop doing sexisms. Shut up and just stop. We don't want it. We don't want your racist, sexist behaviour. But then again, freedom of speech. Well, is it freedom of speech?
Speaking of freedom of speech, there was a press conference yesterday.
Well, was it a press conference? What you mean?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was billed as a press conference.
I mean, it was very poorly attended. I will say that.
Can I just say, and I know I might be in a glass house here, right? Given what was going on earlier, but it was very poorly orchestrated.
It was. I mean, it was very poorly orchestrated. The sound was awful.
The sound was appalling.
It was appalling. It was in a very large, echoey hall in Westminster that didn't have any bodies within it to absorb the sound.
Yeah, when we got a pan to crowd at one point, it didn't look impressive. It did. A lot of empty seats.
It did look like there was less than 20 people in attendance. Now, I might be being harsh in saying that, right? Because I think that this stuff should be listened to. I think this stuff should be, out there for everybody to see.
Yes and no, right? So if you're going to listen to it, sorry, I'll rephrase that. If you're going to tell people this stuff, one, you should tell them straight away.
Yep.
2, you shouldn't be trying to string them along on Twitter for 2 weeks for clicks and likes and giggles.
Absolutely.
Right? 3, let them hear it. Don't try and they try and they seem to try and contain the message. Let it be out there and let it be attacked by all sides. Because if the message is fair and firm and appropriate and honest, then it should stand up to those attacks.
So yesterday it was billed to start at 10:30 a.m. It did start a little late because of technical issues on the end within the hall. There was a press conference by Dr. Tess Laurie, Dr. Asim Malhotra, and Dr. Ryan Cole by Zoom.
The press conference was actually organised by the World
Council for Health.
World Council for Health, yeah. So, and they appear to have had their Twitter suspended.
Yeah, it does look like they've been suspended on Twitter since this press conference happened. which obviously, as pro-free speech, anti-censorship people, we think is abhorrent. Absolutely abhorrent. Nobody should be suspended on Twitter for presenting views, as long as they're not criminal.
See, this is the part that I don't quite understand, because if you censor anyone's speech, right, whether it's right or wrong, surely you're doing nothing but then drawing attention to it. It's like if we go back to the 70s and 80s, and this might be a stretch for some of you, but if you go back to the 70s and 80s and you listen to Top of the Pops, and then someone brought out a record, a single that got banned, it was guaranteed to be one of the best-selling singles of the year.
It was like banned books as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. So if you do things like that, all you do is draw attention to it. And it's like, I mean, YouTube has gone through and banned all that stuff off of, I mean, at one point they were even banning UFO stuff on YouTube, which they've now brought all back, right? Yeah. But the more you ban, the more people want to hear about it, because it's like, if it's being banned, it must be getting banned for a reason. So I want to go to the chat. That's how people think. Sorry?
I want to go to the chat because DW has made a very good point here. They should have drummed up support for the event rather than doing what certain people did and trying to keep it secret right up until the day of. What they should have done is they should have absolutely told people what was going on from the off, when it was going to happen, what it was going to include, and invited people to attend. And they didn't do that.
No, they didn't. It was very poorly publicised, to be fair. But it was publicised. That's the thing that gets me, because it was publicised, and yet you get people like, are we saying names yet?
Mr. Bow. We'll say Mr. Bow.
Yeah, but we get people like Bo, Melville, and Oliver, right? Who all alluded to it.
But pretended it was a secret.
But pretended it was embargoed. And yet the organiser, Dr. Tess Laurie, was on media, independent media, telling us all about it.
And James Wells was putting out flyers.
Or whatever he's handing out flyers, he's sending out stuff on Twitter. So
this was no secret.
Was it embargoed or not? Because it wasn't embargoed as far as we could see. So why would these people then do that? And the only conclusion I can come to is they did it for likes and clicks.
Of course they did.
That's disingenuous.
And because they did it in this way and did it for, as we see, likes and clicks, what they ultimately did was hurt their press conference. What they ultimately did was hurt the attendance. What they ultimately did was hurt more media coverage. They should have just...
Yeah. And it became, in effect, a big unreveal.
Yeah, well, it was.
I mean, we listened to an hour of Asim telling us everything that he's already told us.
And we knew it.
There was really nothing new, okay? There was nothing new in there. He said he backed it up with peer-reviewed evidence. Mm-hmm. That's fine, but there was nothing new, and when I say nothing new in the last 18 months.
I mean, the stuff
from he said, really,
the stuff from Dr. Ryan Cole was pretty compelling.
Quite interesting. Very interesting. He's not well liked in his home state, is he?
He's not well liked, and they're trying to discredit him and get rid of him. And it's the same with Asim Malhotra, right? They're trying to severely discredit the man at the moment rather than what the man is saying.
Yeah, and this is what's wrong with all these things. Why attack people and discredit them? Either their information is wrong or not. Now, if you then decide that the people shouldn't be allowed to hear that because it might change their mind, right? Or they might go off on a different route.
Yep.
That's up to them.
Well, no, John. And
That should be up to them, because this should not be a nanny state.
But let's lead nicely into Adam. Get the video up from the UN. From the UN, from Miss Ardern. Or Miss.
Okay.
We need to play this. I think.
One point I've got to make about that press conference yesterday
Yeah.
was if we watched the chat, there were lots of people that we know from Twitter
Yeah.
that are, very suspect and were there clearly to disrupt.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say.
Not to discredit any evidence, because they weren't doing that. They were just literally in the chat, and they were using their names from Twitter as well. Pause this a second.
Yeah.
They were using.
But having said that, the chat went both ways, because there were people in there who were who were doing exactly the same thing, right?
Yep. But John, we saw them organising to go in and disrupt that chat.
We did, yeah.
That's fine, but they didn't really disrupt it, right? But
No.
but the same token, there's people on both sides.
There is.
Acting not as purveyors of information and evidence. They're both acting to further their side, and really, if your information stands on its own, then why would you need to do that? So
That's right.
one has to question the information.
You get vigilantes.
And that's not exactly what the thrux of the press conference.
So before we do move on, I will say that once again, something that's been extremely poorly publicised is there is a follow-up documentary to this press conference being released, I believe, at 7:30 tonight via Oracle Films. Nobody would have known about it unless we said it just now.
Hope the audio's better.
Ben, this is 16 minutes long, this clip.
No, we want to just get we just want to get the one from inside, from Jacinda talking about free speech, the one that's in the chat on Twitter.
Let's have a look.
Come on, you can do it. I believe in you, Adam.
Let's go back a bit and find that.
But yeah, no, do not take this as us slamming the people that have done that flat press conference. We've never done that, right? All we have done is question the method and question why on earth people were strung along, given some kind of hope. I mean, the way Mr. Bow literally framed it, said this press conference was going to bring down the House of Cards.
Yeah, I know, and it didn't really. Well, and it's made no impact on MSN, and anyone who has any kind of eyes to look over the last 18 to 24 months knows that it would never make any difference on MSN, because MSN is firmly stuck in the narrative. Yeah. Even just now, they're firmly stuck in the narrative.
Absolutely right.
Let's listen to Jacinda's
Shall we move on?
Thoughts on free speech.
Yeah, we want to hear Jacinda Ardern's thoughts on free speech from the UN Assembly. So just play it in full, Adam. Let's go.
This week we launched an initiative alongside companies and non-profits to help improve research and understanding of how a person's online experiences are curated by automated processes. This will also be important in understanding more about mis- and disinformation online, a challenge that we must, as leaders, address. Sadly, I think it's easy to dismiss this problem as one in the margins. I can certainly understand the desire to leave it to someone else. As leaders, we're rightly concerned that even the most light-touch approaches to disinformation could be misinterpreted as being hostile to the values of free speech that we value so highly. But while I cannot tell you today what the answer is to this challenge, I can say with complete certainty that we cannot ignore it. To do so poses an equal threat to the norms we all value. After all, how do you successfully end a war if people are led to believe the reason for its existence is not only legal but noble? How do you tackle climate change if people do not believe it exists? How do you ensure the human rights of others are upheld when they are subjected to hateful and dangerous rhetoric and ideology? The weapons may be different, but the goals of those who perpetuate them is often the same: to cause chaos and reduce the ability of others to defend themselves, to disband communities, to collapse the collective strength of countries who work together. But we have an opportunity here to ensure that these particular weapons of war do not become an established part of warfare. In these times, I'm acutely aware of how easy it is to feel disheartened. We are facing many battles on many fronts. But there is cause for optimism, because for every new weapon we face, there is a new tool to overcome it. For every attempt to push the world into chaos is a collective conviction to bring us back to order. We have the means. We just need the collective will.
We have the means. We just need the collective will.
Ben, are you suggesting that could have been Klaus Schwab?
I am suggesting that was Klaus Schwab's voice for Jacinda Ardern. This is insane. This is insane. Okay? Calling free speech a weapon of war. Saying that they, and she said it before, she's used the term before, we are your only source of truth. It's terrifying, as the tweet says, John.
And I'm with Luke on this one in the chat. She makes me feel sick when she's speaking.
Yeah, she makes
There's something about all those teeth.
Yeah.
And that horrible mouth structure she's got. It reminds me of the alien from the movies. But yeah, she does. She makes me feel ill. And then you put the words on it, and it just makes you even worse.
What she is effectively saying is that the internet must be censored.
Yeah.
We cannot. And what is truth? All right, that's a real question. I'm going to ask, what, in your view, John, what is truth?
Truth?
Yeah.
Well, truth is what you think it is.
There is no, and like Natasha says, in my view, truth can be subjective.
Well, that's exactly what I said. Truth is what you think it is.
I mean, there's a saying, right? There's a saying in political and cultural circles. It's like we are watching the same screen, but we are seeing two different movies, and that means that we take something different from what we are seeing, and we take a different form of truth. Now, there is objective truth that does exist, right? Objective truth does exist, but who on earth decides what is and is not truth? And what Jacinda there is telling you is that it is them, as leaders in the room, who get to decide what you can and cannot witness, what you can and cannot disseminate, what you can and cannot consume. They're talking about things like restoring order. What in the hell are they talking about?
Authoritarian, isn't it?
Well, yeah, just a bit. But then again, that's par for the course for Ardern, isn't it?
I would say tyrannical.
Yeah.
Beyond authoritarianism.
Yeah, no, John, I'm with you. And people should be able to consume any side of a debate, any information that they see fit, and come to their own goddamn conclusions. Please, for the love of God, never agree with what we're telling you just for the sake of it, or because we're telling you to.
Yeah,
come to your own fucking conclusions.
This is what I was banging on about earlier. It's like, if you don't allow people to explore the alternatives, how can they come to a conclusion that you're right or wrong?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
If you only give them the party line, then literally we might as well be the CCP.
The party
we might as
told
well
you.
Be, North Korea.
No, listen, John. The party tells you, ignore your eyes, ignore your ears.
Yeah,
we are truth.
And she said that.
Hmm?
She said that basically. She said, we are the single source of truth.
She did say that. Yeah, that was about a year and a half ago, wasn't it? She said, "We are your single source of truth." And anything else.
And at that point, massive red flags without the hammer and sickle on them should have gone up.
Absolutely. But we are seeing this rhetoric more and more in what are supposedly free Western democracies, and it's since the events of the last 2.5 years, they have used it as an excuse to crack down on the internet and remove undesirables for thinking their own thoughts.
And look at all the legislation that's been brought in recently to to stop people saying what they think on the internet, to stop the spread of misinformation. Now, you know what? Misinformation isn't a big deal.
It's not just legislation either. It's teams that have been established to go out onto the internet and stop it.
Hello, Team Halo.
Right. But why is misinformation a big deal, right? Because the gullible might be persuaded that this isn't the way to go, right? But who made you the mummy? Who made you the arbiter of truth?
Well, yeah,
how do you know that today's misinformation isn't the truth? How do you know that yesterday's truth isn't today's misinformation? Because that's happened.
And do you know what? There are plenty of mainstream media news videos currently still sitting on YouTube that have so much medical misinformation in them. Yeah. But the thing is, that at the time that they put it up, they purported it was truth. Well, it turns out it wasn't, and it's still there.
Exactly, and Malhotra said exactly what I have been saying on many of these shows for many, many times, which is 50% of what you're taught in medical school is found out to be false within 5 years.
Yeah.
The problem being you don't know which 50%.
Exactly. You're exactly right,
now,
John.
He said that, and he's a medical doctor.
Yeah,
he's been through medical school. He's a cardiologist. He's been through medical school, and he said that. So, to me, that kind of indicates what I've been saying, right? So I think that's a truth. In my mind, it's a truth. Whether you choose to accept it or not is up to you.
Absolutely.
But that's the thing. If 50% of what they're being taught is found false within 5 years, how can there be such a thing as medical misinformation? Because today's medical misinformation may be your truth.
Because quite frankly, it's just another control mechanism.
That's all it is.
It's a dog whistle for control. Nothing more, nothing less. Misinformation, disinformation, these terms have no real meaning because, like I said, there's plenty of mainstream media just talking about the juice. Right?
Yeah, so you know what we should do? We should go back to using the proper terms, okay? And we should just use the word propaganda.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we are approaching the end of the show. Is there anything funny before we move on to the new movie review segment, John?
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll go with My Son Hunter.
Oh.
But not a movie review. Okay.
Okay.
So My Son Hunter. Now this is quite interesting because what happened was that while it was being filmed in Serbia, of all places.
Okay.
Right. So they took it to Serbia to film it, and while they were filming it, someone posed as a documentary filmmaker and infiltrated the set.
Okay.
To obtain information and find out what was going on. And you know who that someone was?
Who was it?
Hunter Biden's lawyer.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, it wasn't Jesus Christ. I can't remember his name offhand. But, yeah, the guy that represents South Park pretty successfully, okay? He's a highfalutin lawyer. So he went in, pretended he was a filmmaker, and infiltrated the set, obviously, for Hunter to think about making lawsuits.
Okay. Is Hunter making lawsuits?
Well, that we don't know yet, right? But this guy, the filmmaker, is taking the lawyer. he's after the lawyer, saying the guy should be disbarred from practicing law because what he did was completely illegal. And what it would be illegal in the States,
unethical at the very least.
Serbia.
Unethical at the very least.
Well, it's definitely unethical. If not illegal, it is unethical.
You know what? As someone who, as 3 people here who watched that movie,
it was a terrible movie.
It
was a terrible movie.
Unfortunately,
it wasn't a movie.
Well, it wasn't.
It was like an audiobook.
Yeah.
Brought to life.
There were 2 notable scenes within the film, and then otherwise it was just an overdump of exposition and pish.
Yeah, and both of them were quite near the beginning, actually, weren't they?
They were indeed.
Yeah.
But we'll actually talk about that a bit more over on the other channel at some point, won't we, John?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll do a full in-depth
And
review.
we might even do an editor's cut.
Yes, we're thinking about attempting to recut it to make it a lot more coherent and move along at a better pace.
Oh yeah, because it did drag on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the guy obviously thought, I've got to make a 90-minute movie, and I'll cut it to the point where it's a 90-minute movie, whether it's needed or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move into our final section and actually talk about a movie that we all sat together virtually and watched last night, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
What did we watch?
We watched Bullet Train, starring
We did.
Brad Pitt.
Starring Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Michael Shannon, a whole bunch of people. It's set on a Japanese bullet train, and it's the story of a bunch of hitmen and pretty much bad people essentially trying to get a hold of a case.
Yeah,
right?
it's basically just it's just a story of people killing each other, and the thing is, it was wonderfully uncomplicated.
Yeah.
And entertaining.
It was,
which makes a change in this day and age.
Yep, it really was. It was a really, really, really good movie.
The only cross-dresser was the guy in the anime suit.
Yes. Well,
choo-choo, Thomas! Choo-choo!
Yeah, so many references to Thomas the Tank Engine.
Some bad accents as well.
But the thing is,
I say,
like John says,
it
was very, very uncomplicated. It was all set within pretty much completely within this train, so the fight scenes were very inventive because they were using the environment around them a lot, right?
And some of it was, shall we say, a tad far-fetched.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like jumping on a bullet train.
Yeah, like Aaron Taylor Johnson running up a bullet train and then smashing the window to get in. That was pretty far-fetched.
No. That's not going to happen.
But
it was a laugh. It was a laugh.
There was no. This is what I want to say about it. There was absolutely no agendas here. It was 2 hours of over the top, out there, bloody, gritty, grimy, funny entertainment, and that's what I want from my films.
Exactly. You know what it was? It was escapism, and that's what movies have lost these days.
Absolutely, and all power to the people that made it, all power to Brad Pitt, and I'm sure his company Plan B probably had something to do with it as well. And all power to them, and long may movies like this be released. Long may movies like this, I hope this movie sees and has seen a lot of success, because it was just that 2 hours of escapism, and we all had smiles on our faces the whole way through.
Apart from we're grimacing at the gore.
Yeah,
it was quite gory.
No, I like the gore.
Yeah, but it was quite gory.
Yeah, it was.
Especially when people were doing arterial spurts and half a head blown off and all this sort of nonsense.
Yeah, and you know what? At least once a week, I think we'll talk about a film we've watched on here just briefly as well. So
I liked it.
I mean, out of 10, I would give it a solid 7 or an 8. How about you, John?
Oh, I would give it an 8. Definitely an 8.
Adam, what did you think of the film?
I agree. I think an 8. Yep, very good. It was a little bit unrealistic when they were running up the bullet train, but I'll let them off for that.
Well, it was a good, fun film. The story was uncomplicated. There were no agendas, and it was just fun.
Yeah, it was. It was fun.
A breath of fresh air.
It was a breath of fresh air.
It really was.
And a lot of toilet humour.
Yeah, I mean... I will spoil one scene where he's closed the toilet, and I won't say what he's put in the toilet, but he puts "don't open," and he's placed something.
And it wasn't what you think it might be.
No, it definitely wasn't.
I did like it when he was drying his hair with the toilet.
Yep.
Looked a bit like you, Ben.
So we can. Well, why do you think I'm called? Hold on, let's bring up my screen for people. Why do you think I'm called not Brad Pitt today?
Well, yeah, because you aren't Brad Pitt.
I'm definitely not.
I'd like to say one thing to both of you. You two are definitely diesels.
You arsehole!
I'm a Thomas. Nice.
I'm a Thomas.
That's not very nice.
I am a Thomas.
I thought myself more as who was the Mallard guy? Gordon.
Yeah, Gordon.
Gordon was a bit supercilious, wasn't he?
I saw Adam as our Percy, to be honest.
Oh, thanks. Right.
Percy's lovely. He's harmless. Bloody lovely.
Anyway, with that, I'm going to go and get my coffee.
Right. So, do you want me to start queuing up an outro?
Yes, do that, because I'd like to thank you one and all for attending this episode 129 of Chasing Dissent Live, brought to you by the talents of the beautiful Adam, the wonderful, not Brad Pitt, and I just tag along for the ride.
You fucking run the whole thing. I tell you what, behind the scenes, he's a fucking slave driver, right? He's got whips. He shows us the whips. He shows us them.
Don't give people our secrets.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience to talk. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.